da 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 da. Can I see myself on my screen? I cannot. Oh, there I am. Am I going to be able to hear myself too? I cannot. Oh, there I am. Am I going to be able to hear myself too? Yes, I am going to be able to hear myself. Hello, Steve, and hello to the world. Here we are again for Aetherdrift, part 2. A little bit of housekeeping first. I'm depressed. I'm depressed about the state of Standard because, as you know, yesterday, in part 1, sorry, not yesterday, I was talking about the fact that there's this deck where every card pays for the next, fetches the next card and pays for the next card. And Bright Glass Gearhulk is a part of this deck, and I was worrying that it might be getting to critical mass. I think it might have done. I think it might already have got to critical mass. I went off to my Discord afterwards, started talking to some deck builders, told them the cards that I'd come up with, 6 of them. You know, Phenomenal Investigators, Genesis Wave, Sylvan Tutor, Bright Glass Gearhulk, and 2 more Mystical Teachings, and 1 more that I can't remember the name of. Yeah, I had 6 of them. And they started to point out some more that I hadn't even thought about, to be honest. Breach the Multiverse from Sharper. Yeah, that's one, isn't it? You cast that. It's 1 in, 1 out. You cast that, you get something out from your graveyard, because that dumps a load of cards into graveyards, doesn't it? There's a good chance, almost 0 chance that one's going to whiff, you know. And Lock and Load, somebody suggested. I quite like that one. Madren, who actually put the first version of the deck together, thanks Madren, had to kind of patch it up a bit with things like Sunken Citadel, but he got it working. Madren thinks Lock and Load, maybe not, because it's going to discard things. I just like the way that, you know, you're casting this one thing and you're getting 2 things full of mana. So I kind of like Lock and Load, but I haven't built the deck myself yet. Madren had to go and actually buy the Gearhulk to put this deck together. Hope you can afford that, Madren. It's a very expensive card, isn't it? I can't afford that one. So yeah, so people have been suggesting extra cards for this deck. Yeah, so it does look like the deck's going to be a thing. It looks like it kind of is a thing right now. You might be able to build it. I've talked about what all these potential cards that you can put into it. You might not even need the Gearhulk. I'm actually in the process of crafting. I'm going to craft today. I've got a lot of crafting of rares to do so I can open my non-dupe boosters and get some masterpieces. But I'm in the process of getting hold of Phenomenon Investigators today. I'm going to just see if I can put something like that together without the Gearhulk. So yeah, so that's kind of a dangerous deck. I mean, if this deck gets too good, Greg will be able to you know, it kind of, if the deck is just full of cards that just fetch the next card and cast it, even Greg will be able to play it. He might fetch the wrong card sometimes, but it doesn't matter. If the deck has no natural stopping points, it doesn't matter. I don't know how much power and toughness Greg will be able to put on the table. I don't know how he plays Phenomenon Investigators. He might play it wrong and not fetch a card with it. But even so, you know, even if Greg can never play this deck and it's just human players who can win routinely on turn 3, turn 2, maybe eventually turn 1. Imagine this deck. Imagine the version of this deck that you could build in Legacy where you could just play Summoner's Pact for 1 mana and then immediately win. I mean, come on now. So I'm depressed that this deck exists and something's got to be done. And what's got to be done is, I don't think they should probably nerf the Gearhulk, to be honest, because it doesn't make any difference. As long as there aren't enough cards like that, you know, and no one specific card is the problem. So, and I think people who bought Gearhulk for $80 will be annoyed if it gets nerfed. So my suggestion would be nerf a load of other cards, like Phenomenon Investigators, that I'm in the process of crafting for at the moment. But, you know, fine. Nerf it. I don't care. I want a balanced game. And then just don't print any more. Webcore. You have to stop printing cards that just go, this card fetches the next one and the next one's free. Because the deck will just not stop being viable while you just keep printing more of them. We have to have less now than there are in the format right now. So you're going to have to nerf a few cards and then stop printing them in the future. Octagon were all over this shit. Octagon, you know, we all remember when Octagon started making cards that gave you half mana, and we were all a bit disappointed. But they understood that too many cards that pay for other cards, and you've got a very easy infinite combo. So, yes. So, yeah, last night I was very depressed about the state of Standard, but I've been thinking about it. I think, you know, if they nerf Ocelot Pride, who I've personally been winning with a lot on turn 2, if they nerf enough of this deck to sort it out, and then I think as well they should nerf Galter, I'm afraid. Because the Gearhulk has two problems. Firstly, it's part of this deck. Madren's calling it Loop Hulk at the moment. I don't know if I like that name, but yeah, maybe. Even if they nerf this deck, Bright Hulk is still going to be a problem as a second copy of Galter in Grist, right? So I think one of either Grist or Galter or Gearhulk is going to need a nerf, you know? And they obviously don't want to nerf Galter, even though that it's insane to leave her as powerful as she is. And like I say, people might be annoyed if they nerf the Gearhulk. So I honestly think Galter needs to be busted down in power a little bit more. Oh, hello. Who else is in the chat? Madren, hello. Welcome in. I was just being mean about you, about how you'd name the deck. Come up with a better name and I'll use it. I'll have a think. It'll probably stick. Loop Hulk will probably stick just because, you know, once an idea gets planted, people tend to stick with it. I've already used it like 3 times, haven't I? So maybe that's what the deck's called now. Welcome, welcome. Anyway, I don't usually see you, do I, during the streams? Not live, anyway. Where was I? Yes, nerf Galter some more. You know, and obviously, and Grist. But, you know, I think we could probably get, because I'm trying to reach across the aisle, as it were, to, you know, all the people who are saying, no, Grist is fine, there's nothing wrong with Grist. There's absolutely nothing wrong with mystical teaching, Steve. All those wankers, yeah, who are actively trying to destroy the game, saying there's nothing wrong with these overpowered cards. I'm trying to reach across the aisle to those people a bit. And that's why I'm saying, okay, go on then. You don't have to nerf Grist if you don't want to, even though that's obviously insane. But let's do Galter. And then the last one, I think I would just tone Bloodghast down a bit before people can get hold of it, you know? It's not in the current Elite Pack. It will be in the Elite Pack either next week or the week after. So that's when people will be spending resources to get that one card. And honestly, I think they should just tone it down to like a 5/4, really. I mean, I get it. I know, yeah, I know. If it's a 5/4, it's absolutely shit for everybody except for Grist. Yeah? But that's what happens when you make a broken Planeswalker. Yeah? In order to make other things balanced with that broken Planeswalker, they have to be fucking shit for everybody else. Sorry! That's just how it is. Those are the laws of nature. That's not me making the rules up. So Ocelot Pride, Galter, some old fetchy cards, Bloodghast, and then don't make any more fetchy cards. There you go. That's my plan for sorting out Standard. Shall we finally get on with actually having a look at some actual cards from the set? Now, we've just done Cold Stroke Gearhulk. Frankly, it's probably a problem in Grist, you know, but I've just got to set my standards lower. You know, this is why I've been saying about not nerfing Grist, is because there are insane people out there who don't want to do that. So, you know, we can't nerf everything, apparently, because people want the game to be bust as fuck. So, but yeah, Cold Stroke, still probably a problem with Gauta. Shall we move on to where we actually want to be, which is Collision Course. Collision Course with some alligators, apparently. Oh, no, I see. There's a chariot with alligators. Who's that? Would that be the Kaladesh people driving alligators? Do they have alligators? It doesn't seem very alligator-y. It's called a Vishkar now, hasn't it? They've changed the name of the plane. I don't know. I don't know where they're from. Somebody tell me where the alligator's from. What have we got here? Collision Course. Destroy an opposing creature or artifact card at random. 5 mana. I mean, it's a little over the curve for a 1-for-1, isn't it? 1-for-1s, you know, their stock is very down in competitive standard these days. Don't care about 1-for-1s, but a little bit over the curve. Nothing wrong with that card. This should be a good card. In a sane world, this should be a good card. As it is, you know, I'm not going to be touching this in competitive decks. Count on Luck. At the beginning of your turn, fetch the first card from your library. That card costs 0. Yeah, okay, so we're in Mana Filler Giver territory. This one's a bit expensive, isn't it? 30 mana for a Mana Filler Giver. I know what you're saying out there. You're saying, but Steve, if you don't have to pay the cost of it, then it doesn't cost 30, does it? Yeah, but this is the thing that you're playing to reduce the cost. If you're already playing a card to play cards and reduce their cost, don't play this as well. Play some other cheaper ones instead. Then this support loses 1 shield. Why does it cost 30 then? So it's a Mana Filler Giver. It's like Loot, who costs 14. Yeah? Or Cruel Claw, who costs 16. And this one costs 30, but this one only triggers twice. It's an enchantment. It is not a artifact. Not sure why I care about that. I mean, Golden Wish fetches artifacts and doesn't fetch enchantments, but I wouldn't play with this card anyway. Yeah, I'm a bit baffled by that. I'm a bit baffled why they'd make an obvious Mana Filler Giver and then just limit it. And when we've got so many that trigger every turn to infinity, they're limiting this one to 2 turns. Bit confused by that. Country Roads. This is not part of a cycle. At the beginning of your turn, convert a gem to white. I mean, Christ. Somebody was saying on one of the Discord servers that they actually think Webcore are really good at designing cards. Just going to let that float in the air. Yeah? Just let that comment percolate. See what you think of it. Convert a gem to white. I mean, fuck off. Obviously. For an uncommon, you know, even the ones in Origins convert 2 gems. You know, they're rubbish and they convert, you know, 1 gem to 1 colour and 1 gem to another colour. But 1 single gem, fuck off. And when it's destroyed, you get a 1/1 that might get a little bigger. No. Oh, it's just depressing when they do this. You know, they make some lands and they're like, you know, these are the lands, these are the staple cards you need to cast your spells, but they're all shit and you have to go and get the good ones that are masterpieces. It's really depressing. Crash and burn. Yes, that's how I feel. Option A, deals 6 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Option B, destroy an opposing vehicle support. Pants. Crypt Caller Chariot. Okay. Is this like an Ammon? This looks like this kind of Amonkhet-y. I'm playing guess where all the cars are from at the moment, apparently. But they look a bit Amonkhet-y to me, don't they? He looks like Mum-Ra the Ever-Living. That guy, doesn't he? From Thundercats, do you not think? Maybe that's what they were going for. Crew 2. When you discard a card from your hand, create a zombie token. Okay, we don't know if we're going to discard yet. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may discard the last card from your hand. If you do, your first creature gets +5/+5 and menace. So, you know, it's kind of okay if you want a 2/2 creature every turn, you know. And then you get that +5/+5 buff, but that's not like +5. That doesn't mean you're creating a 7/7 every turn. It means you're creating a 2/2 every turn and getting +5/+5. And you have to discard a card when you could be playing with Elspeth and making at least 7 soldier tokens every single turn. Maybe even giving them lifelink. I mean, it's bad. It's a bad token generator. The other day, I was playing Elspeth in, I think it may have even been a coalition event, and I activated her first ability, and it created 1 soldier token. And honestly, for a second, I thought there was something wrong with my game. I've never seen it. I've never seen that happen. Obviously, the reason why was because there was 1 loyalty gem on the board. But I've never even seen it. I've never seen it create 2 or 3 soldier tokens before. You know, I've seen it create about 5, yeah. Never seen it create 1. And it didn't, for quite a while, it just didn't occur to me that the game wasn't broken. It was working perfectly. There just weren't enough loyalty gems on the table. Anyway, Curse Cloth Wrappings. Okay. There's kind of a Scooby-Doo vibe to that card, do you not think? There's kind of a comedy Scooby-Doo vibe to this. Can I not zoom in on the... I can zoom in on this art. I'm not allowed to zoom in. That's weird, isn't it? I know, I get it. It's because you have to make the text pop up. It just seems strange. Anyway, I'm getting Scooby-Doo from that. Obviously, I mean, this is clearly Amonkhet, one of the racers then, if we're getting mummies. At the beginning of your turn, zombie creatures get +1/+1. At the end of your turn, return a random creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, that's what we're all looking out for these days on these. There's so many cards that play a card for free. Yeah? So we were all thinking it, weren't we? Oh, okay, this is going to create 1 card from your graveyard to play every turn. Cards like that exist. That's what we're looking out for. So when it says hand, we throw it into the trash. Duretti, now this one was spoiled, wasn't it? See? Do you see? Random creature card from your graveyard to your hand. When this creature enters the battlefield or attacks, return a random artifact card from your graveyard to play. Those are not small differences. Those are it's the difference between this card being a piece of shit and this card being something we can talk about. So, at the beginning of your turn, this creature gets +X/+0 until the beginning of your turn. X is the greatest mana amongst artifact cards you control, which might be a fair bit, because when it enters the battlefield or attacks, return a random artifact card from your graveyard to play under your control. Now, the other day, for example, somebody was hitting me for like 25 damage with one of these because he had a Cityscape Leveler in play. You don't see much of Cityscape Leveler. Cityscape Leveler, again, is the type of card that, like, in a sane world would be one of the best cards. You know? But it's like, we've got Rakdos now. That costs 10 mana less. We don't need your bloody Cityscape Leveler not being very good at blowing up supports because it keeps creating those Power Stone gem things. Anyway, that was what somebody was doing to me. We're in mana filler giver territory here. The thing that I don't like is, of course, you have to find a way with this card to put cards into your graveyard. Whereas with, you know, Loot and Crawlclaw and Dragonhawk, you don't. So if you open with a Dragonhawk, it immediately starts generating value. If it's your first play in the game, if you open with this, it's not. As a result, I feel like I'm not going to play with it. Is it me, or does Duretti look a bit like Warwick Davis? You know, the little guy who who presents Tenable on the BBC. You don't know what Tenable is. You know, he was Wicket, the Ewok, you know? Life's too short. Willow! That's him! Will, does he look a bit like... Well, no, he doesn't look a lot like him. Does he look a bit... He looks a little bit like Willow to me, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, better than... you know, it's... mana filler giver territory, so better than shit tier, but I'm going to be playing with the ones that I can play turn 1 and immediately start generating value for, I think. We move on. Daring Mechanic. Is that Mario or Ted Lasso? Ted Lasso? That doesn't quite work. I'll work on that. I'll work on that pun as we go on. See if I can workshop something better by the end of the night. Activate 2. A random vehicle support you control gains 1 shield. This is a very Octagon card, isn't it? It's just got words written on it and it has no effect on the battlefield whatsoever. Garbage. Debris Beetle. When this support enters the... We talked about crew and pilot. Yeah, we talked about crew and pilot the other day. There's no need to go on to that again. When this support enters the board, deals 6 damage to your opponent's planeswalker, not even their creatures. That's bad. Then you gain 6 life. Okay. At the beginning of your turn, this is what we're here for. Your first creature gets +5/+5 and gains trample. No. No, absolutely not. No, we're seeing a lot of coloured artefacts in this set, aren't we? So that's presumably a something that's come over from paper. Well, there have been coloured artefacts in paper before. I remember when coloured artefacts first showed up. I believe in Shards of Alara. I think that's where I first saw coloured artefacts. And the Esper Shard had artefacts that had coloured mana costs. And I thought it was fine. Before, when I heard they were going to do artifacts with coloured mana costs, I thought, well, that's really rubbish. They're not going to feel like artifacts, are they? They're going to feel like enchantments. And then I played with them, and I'm like, oh, no, it worked. If you just write artifact on a card, it's weird. It feels like an artifact. Fair enough. That's not good enough. We move on. Defend the Rider. Create a Racer Pilot token. Right, it's a small, tiny rubbish thing. Target creature gets hexproof and prevent damage till the beginning of your next turn. Right. Again, you see what they've done there. It's got flash. It's giving something hexproof. They've converted something from paper without understanding their own game. When this support enters the board, destroy target opposing creature. Okay, this is a good start. Right? 15 mana, too much for that effect, but there are more words, and maybe some of them will be relevant words. Then... your first... Oh, dude, it's going to start pumping things now. I thought the rest of the words were going to be relevant, but it looks like they're going to be irrelevant. Your first creature gets +2/+2 permanently. There do seem to be a few less until ends of turn around these days. Do you think they've been listening to me? Maybe. Maybe they've been listening to me. First creature gets +2/+2. At the beginning of your turn, your first creature gets +4/+3 until the beginning of your next turn. Right. So, like, I mean, they could have done it, couldn't they? They could have had... That would have been quite a boost, +4/+3. That would have put it well into high shit tier. +4/+3 every turn. But it kind of wears off. I mean, yeah, you know, it's still passable because it destroys a creature. But too expensive. Not interesting enough. You can definitely make supports that destroy something and do something else. Anyone remember that one? We used to like the one, didn't we? Back in Innistrad, that used to destroy a creature. It might have even cost 11, so it was probably pretty janky by today's standards. But it used to destroy a creature when it came into play and then play a zombie every turn, didn't it? Liliana's something or other. We used to like that back then. So you can make cards like that. This one is not it, Chief. District Mascot. Is that Failure? That's the dog. We've seen that dog before. That dog was on a green... Bestow Greatness. That's that doggo, isn't it? Only it looks slightly more insane there. That's the, you know, I've been taking acid all morning version of the dog. This is the more sensible version of the dog. Is it Failure? It looks like Failure to me. Do you remember Failure from PM2? It's the wrong colour. It's probably not Failure. When this creature enters the battlefield, this creature gets +2/+2. Right, well, good, because it's only a 1/2. At the beginning of the combat on your turn, if this creature is saddled, it gets +1/+1. Right, not very interesting. At the end of your turn, destroy an opposing support. Then this creature gets -1/-2. Now, it's funny I should say Failure, isn't it? Because, like, doesn't Failure blow something up every turn without getting smaller and dying, and she's cheaper? Failure is, of course, the card from PM2. Clear filters. Come on! God, this is so slow these days. This is Failure. Well, maybe the wrong type of dog. Maybe Failure doesn't look like that. I don't have dogs. I have dog blindness. All dogs look the same to me. Might be the wrong type of dog. But yeah, when this creature attacks, destroy an opposing card at random. You know, no getting smaller and eventually dying. In fact, this card is better than that. It costs 13, which is less mana than the other one. We're destroying any opposing card without dying. And then, at the end of the turn, return the last card from your opponent's graveyard into play under your control. Failure is so much better than that other card. Why make it so much worse, you know? That's weird to me. Just wait for the clear filters. I had to really think about that, didn't it? Card name. Where are we? Oh, we've gone forward way too far. Bright glass. Down to... Yeah. So this is... I mean, basically the same cost. I'm really splitting hairs when I say this card is more expensive. But, you know, this only destroys supports and it kills itself. So Failure is better than that on 2 counts. And, puts things into play as well. They're both rare. I mean, you might say, and there probably are people saying this right now, that, no, it's good that the PM2 cards are much more powerful and broken, right? Only some of them, yeah, but it's good because we want a game where you pay for power. Is that what you're saying out there? Get out of my face if you are. Diversion unit. Pie. What even is that picture? I mean, obviously it's a diversion unit. I don't understand what's going on there. Oh, is that some kind of emoji that the kids use? Is that what it is? Are those supposed to be eyes and that's a little mouth? I'm 50 years old. I'm allowed to pretend I don't understand the internet. When this creature dies, drain 7 mana from your opponent. Fuck off. From your opponent's hand. Where have we got? Draconorchid's Engineer. Exhaust. Now that is the one where we are exiling a card. Remind me about the speed thing later on. Exhaust is the one where we are exiling a card from our hand to trigger it. We're creating 2 dinosaur tokens, which are 4/4s. Okay, so we've got a 14/14. Yeah, we're not going to get to create... I mean, this is kind of key, isn't it? Is that it's all very well saying we got 10 powers worth of creature. Yeah, I don't like this. There's a lot of good stuff here, isn't there? There's a 2/2, there's 2 4/4s. And then, after you've exhausted, your creatures get +5/+5 and gain double strike. But, number one, if you play this for 14 mana and it gets shot, you never get the chance to put the other 2 4/4s into play. So, you've had a really bad deal there. And then number 2, if you use your exhaust, which you can only use once, it gives double strike to 2 creatures which don't have haste. Yeah? Bad design, naughty webcore, slap on wrist. Dracosaur Auxiliary. Just remember, webcore are really good at designing cards. We'll just let that Just let that percolate. That can be the theme of the evening. How good Webcore are at designing cards. When this creature attacks, if this creature is saddled, it's a 4/4 for 13. Deal 3 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, that kind of screams mid shit tier to me. That's not a high shit tier card. Not at 13. Maybe if it costs like 7 mana, it would be high shit tier. 13 mana, kind of mid shit tier. What do we always remember about shit tier cards, though? That they are shit. Dredger's Insight. When this support enters the board, destroy the top 4 cards of your library. Right, this is going to be a card that does nothing, isn't it? When a creature or artifact card leaves your graveyard, you gain 3 cards. Yeah, this is literally a card that does fuck all. Get out of my face. Drogskull Reeve. Let's have a masterpiece. Let's have a double striking, life-linking masterpiece. When you gain life for the first time on your turn, draw a card. Does it put mana into it? No. Do we fucking care about it then? No, we fucking don't. I mean, it's fine, isn't it? This is definitely high shit tier. High shit tier. Don't know about God shit tier. High shit tier. But yeah, you know, it's a well-costed creature. It's got some lifelink. You're drawing a card. It's a lot better than a Jessian Thief or a Sigilled Starfish, isn't it? But it's not putting any mana in that card. It's not a mana filler giver. It's not even close to being one of those. And so, we don't really care. Or maybe I won't mind mastering it midweek. Maybe. I kind of think I will, though. Dune Drifter. When this support enters the board, return your first card from your graveyard to your, drumroll please, hand. We move on. Dynamite Diver. When this creature dies, Jesus Christ, they were skipping through this section quite quickly, weren't they? Just fucking any old shit. Get ChatGPT to write any old shit on these cards. Earth Rumbler. Is this another one? When a pilot creature enters a battlefield, your first creature gets +1/+1. Yes, it is another one for 14 mana and 2 shields. Embalmed Ascendant. Speed, yes. Now, I've tested this myself, actually. Brisk, my man Fabrizio. Shout out to Fabrizio. He tested this for me last night. But I've seen it myself today, actually. I was playing some dailies, and it is true that this works as written, right? Is that you have to cast a card with boost for your Planeswalker to get the speed emblem. Now, I was hoping it was going to be like Experience or like Devotion. You know, your Planeswalker would start with the emblem. And that would mean that even before you'd played any of these boost cards, you could start increasing your speed so that the first time you played a boost card, it might trigger. But that's not how it works. So this has got boost 3 on it. So you have to play a boost card and then attack 3 times. And then when you play this 1/2 creature, that's when the boost 3 is going to trigger. It sounds really shit, doesn't it? So I bet you're thinking, for all those hoops we've got to jump through, this is going to be a really powerful effect, isn't it? Yeah? When this creature enters the battlefield, create a zombie token. Okay, that's not even associated with the boost. You get a free 2/2 zombie token. And then the boost 3. Here we go. This is the powerful bit. This is the bit we've had to do all the work for. When a non-token creature you control dies... End Rider Catalyzer. Okay, we've got some Mad Max energy going on there. Here again, we've got boost 3. Convert 2 gems to red. So you can play with... If you want, you can play with... a Clue Land, yeah, which is going to cost 7 mana. You're going to play it on turn 1. You're immediately going to start converting 4 gems every single turn. Or you can play a boost card like this one, and then you can attack 3 times, and then it will start converting 3 gems to red. 2 gems to red. Yeah, I didn't think it was 3. I might be slightly less incredulous at its badness. if it was 3, but only slightly less incredulous. It's terrible. We move on. Activate 1, your opponent loses 4 life. They really didn't care about this section, did they? Which bit's Clive doing? He's doing the D's and the E's. All right, fuck it. Just, you know, do what you like, Clive. We'll knock off early and go to the pub today. Exile target creature you control. Deal 6 damage to each creature. Return the last creature from exile into play under your control. Sounds a bit expensive and also rubbish, doesn't it? It's got like a flicker effect. But I still don't really care. I've been mastering Starfall Invocation a bit this week, so you know I've had this exact type of card, and obviously that one's much better because that one actually kills everything rather than just dealing 6 damage to everything. And you know these Wrath of God cards, even with a tiny kicker on it, like a whole extra creature, it's so much worse than the one-sided sweepers we're used to now, like Chaos Warp and Requisition Raid, Localized Destruction. That it just feels bad playing with double-sided board sweepers, unless the kicker is I don't lose any of my creatures at all. They just feel like bad cards. Well, I don't even really play with push-pull anymore. Push-pull's kind of okay, isn't it? Because you've got that double-sided thing that's bad, but you can flip it over and get a big old alpha strike out of it. So I still think push-pull is like a relevant card you need to remember exists, but I barely play with it. So I'm unexcited by Explosive Gateway. It sucks. Fang Guardian. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Druid Summoner. I'm getting bored of my own format. My USP is supposed to be that I go through every single card. Yeah? If I was only going to go through the good cards, I would be Goz, wouldn't I? You know, that's supposed to be my unique selling point, is that I talk about, I've got something to say, something relevant and interesting and exciting and not boring to say about literally every card, and I'm undermining that by just skipping through the shit ones, aren't I? Fang Druid Summoner. But look at them though. Fetch the first creature with the highest cost that is 6 or less from your library. I doubt it. I mean, come on. Come on. What costs 8 mana in green? What's it called? It's the thing. Gifts Ungiven. It's not Gifts Ungiven. That's the blue one, is it? What's it called? I can't remember the bloody name of the thing now. I'm going to have to go and look. Damn it. Something. Come on, you're all screaming it at me. I know you are. Realms Uncharted. No, it's not that one, is it? Where's it gone? Mana cost. That's why it's not on the screen. Threats Undetected. That's what I was trying to remember the name of. Yeah, and that's what we're going to play with. It doesn't matter. It's only a common or an uncommon or whatever the hell it was. Its sole purpose is to fill up space in boosters so you don't open good cards all the time. That's what they're for. They don't spend time designing these cards. Don't let the Commoner's Cup or the Silver Cup fool you. They don't spend time designing these cards. Far Fortune End Boss. Well, this sounds exciting, doesn't it? End Boss. When this creature attacks, deal 1 damage to each opposing creature. Pants. Boost 4. So remember, to play a boost card first, then attack 4 times after you've played a boost card, and then this card will start doing its thing. When you deal damage to your opponent's Planeswalker for the first time, deal X damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. X is 2 plus the damage dealt. So when you deal damage to your opponent's Planeswalker first turn, deal X. So it's a damage doubler, right, for 15 mana if you happen to have attacked 4 times with a boost card in play. We've got a load of damage doublers. There was one for 18 mana in the last set, wasn't there? We've got all kinds of damage doublers. We don't need one with fucking boost. Boost needs to... This is where you put mana filler giver effects, isn't it? On boost. Yeah, the type of card that should have had boost is Dragonhawk, for God's sake. You've got to impress us with the boost effect. I know you like writing good things on cards, Webcore. Really powerful effects, and this is where you put them after boost costs. You don't just put them on Mystical Teachings and go, there you go, that's a card now, and send it into the wild. That's where you put the really good things. Because it's hard. It's hard to get boost. Do you understand me? So it should be a really good effect. When a creature you control attacks, discard a card, then draw a card. I mean, no, not at all. I'll just play a Sigiled Starfish and draw a card. Thank you very much. I don't want to discard a card. Fire Shrieker, I believe this one was a card in Spoiler Season. At the beginning of your turn, your creature gets +3/+3. Okay. When a creature enters a battlefield under your control, that creature gains double strike. It's a bit of weird for a equipment. In fact, it's not an equipment, which is odd, because Fire Shrieker is definitely an equipment in paper, isn't it? Fire Shrieker, is that the one? Hang on a second. Is that the rare card, the Fire Shrieker, or is that the common one? I think it's the rare. Yeah, it is a rare card, isn't it? It was in Foundations was the last time it was printed. It's weird that they're pulling Masterpiece cards just from the last set, isn't it? Isn't that a bit strange? No, it does not look like Willow. It does look like... Doretti looks like Willow, Sarah. Sorry, I you know me, I don't get round to reading the chat while I'm doing these streams very often. It does look like Willow, and I have the microphone, so what I say goes. Fire Shrieker. So, I mean, it gives things double strike, but it's a bit weird, isn't it? The fact that it doesn't just give them double strike all the time. I mean, you have to play this first, and then you have to play a creature, and it gains double strike. It's a subtle difference. But if you play the creature first, and then you play this, that creature doesn't gain double strike. It's a subtle difference, but it makes it a bit worse. I mean, I don't care. It just seems like it's giving everything double strike, kinda. Only it's not. But it kind of is. But for 17 mana, I don't care. Flood the Engine. When the support enters the board, your first opposing creature gets -5/-0. I mean, at least give him some of those stun counters. Madrin fucking loves them. Even 2 of them. He'd like that. Would you like that? 2? You like at least 3, I think. 5 is good. 5 is what you want, yeah? You like 5. You'd play with 3. Would you play with 2? I don't know if you'd play with 2 stun counters. But that might be all you'd get on a common card, unfortunately. Fail Rose. This is one of those awful waste of time lands. Convert a gem. What would have been wrong with 2 gems? And that's been a staple of design for years and years and years. They had to make a decision to go, do you know what? Uncommon lands were too good. Fuel the Flames, 3 damage to each creature. It's got cycling. It's quite cheap cycling. We don't care though. Full Throttle. Deal X damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. X is the total power of creatures you control. Then creatures you control gain double strike. I guess it's okay. When they were building the deck, yeah, when Madren put his... you put this in the deck, didn't you? The Loop Hero deck with the Hulk, the Loop Hulk deck. Loop Hero? That's a game, that is. That's a computer game. Loop Hulk. He put this into the deck. It's kind of a... It kind of looks like a finisher. I kind of don't see the point, but there you go. So, yeah, if you happen to have loads and loads of creatures in play, then this will help you finish the game with you. And if you don't, it's no fucking good to man nor beast, is it? So, as a result, it's win more. As a result, I'm not playing with a card that costs 25 mana. Gallant Strike. Well, because this is some more good white removal, isn't it? This is decent enough for white removal. It's a 1-for-1. It's even got cycling. You know, it's quite powerful. You'd be really, if you were playing in paper, if you were playing a draft, I mean, you throw all your cycling cards in when you're playing draft, don't you? Even if they're absolutely worthless. If you could get a removal card that's got cycling, you'd fucking first pick that, wouldn't you? That's pretty decent. In this game, though, still a 1-for-1, so we still don't much care. It has got flash, but still a 1-for-1. I mean, you know, Deem Inferior's got flash. A flash removal card is going to have to really do something. As I say, you know, we're worried about Bloodghast these days, so we might be looking out for flash cards. But, you know, a single flash removal spell. Don't forget all of those Bloodghast that you kill with this Gallant Strike, they're all just going to come right back as soon as Grist plays a land. So it's going to have to be much more impressive, a flash removal spell, to get rid of those hasty Bloodghasts. Even Deem Inferior, to be perfectly honest. I think when Deem Inferior triggers and there's a stack of Bloodghasts, I think all but one of them are going to go back into the graveyard anyway. So we're going to need something impressive with flash. And as it happens, I think there might be something in this set that might do the job. But that is much later on. We will probably get to that in part 3. Galvanic Blast. How are we doing for time? We've gone for about an hour. We're doing well. Galvanic Blast. Oh, now this is a damage spell that's a masterpiece. That's a shame, isn't it? Now, I mean, we did get Pyroclasm. Managed to deal 20 damage to everything for 7 mana, didn't it? Wasn't that what it was? I forget what that's in. Maybe Duskmourn or Foundations. So, you can, you know, it's bad, but some people might like it. Stupid people. Galvanic Blast. Deal 7 damage to target. Have we not had Galvanic Blast before? Now, Webcore are good at this, actually, don't we? Every time I read a card name and think we've had that before, it turns out that we haven't, actually. We've had something else named Galvanic Wave or Galvanic Prod or something, you know. So I'm not even going to go and look. Webcore generally quite good about not making 2 cards with exactly the same name. Octagon didn't care, did they? But Webcore are all right. So we'll just assume that they have. Deal 7 damage to target creature and 7 damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. Crap. If you control an artifact card, deal 14 damage to target creature and 14 damage to your opponent's Planeswalker instead. No. Finite amounts of damage? No, thank you. Gas Guzzler. When a creature or support, this is boost 3, remember, it's not going to do this. This ability is so powerful that this creature can't be allowed to do it straight away. That would break the game. It has to be hidden away behind boost 3. When a creature or support is destroyed, draw a card. Now, right, okay, now you didn't think that the Duretti looked like Willow. All right, let's give you that one. Because I admit it's just a passing resemblance. It's not, I'm not saying he's the spitting. It's not like, you know, King Joffrey on that one on really mob card, you know. Or there was somebody else from Game of Thrones, wasn't it, who's in this game as well. What was the name of the guy, the bastard, who kept Theon in his dungeon and was eating a sausage in front of him? That guy, he's on a magic card as well. Anyway, my point is, this guy, and I think you're going to agree with me on this one, doesn't this guy look like Ben Stiller in Mystery Men? Yeah? Is he called Mr. Angry? It's something, I don't think it's quite, there's something, that's his power anyway, he's an angry person. I think he might be called Mr. Angry or something like that, but to me, he looks like Ben Stiller. No? Anyone seeing that? I think so. Gastel Blockbuster. I don't know what that means. Madren, tell me what Gastel Blockbuster. Is it just a word they've made up? Is he from the town of Gast? When this creature enters the battlefield, you may destroy a vehicle support you control. If you do support, destroy an opposing artifact support. Just do it. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Doesn't need to blow up anything you control yourself. It just needs to kill something your opponent has. It would still be not powerful enough. Because you, Webcore, you made Demolition Field. And you made all other fucking support removal cards absolutely obsolete. Gastal Thrill Roller, there's that word again. There's lots of Gastal things. Look. 3 of them, in fact. That's not lots. When a non-token creature enters the battlefield. Where are these people from? I mean, this is just Mad Max world, isn't it? So this is presumably a world we haven't seen before. Yeah? Because there are people from planes that we know. Is there a specific Mad Max plane that we haven't visited before that is all part of this set? Gastal is an abandoned wasteland plane, home of the Scorpion Dragons. Oh, right, well, presumably then that's where these people come from, the Scorpion Dragon plane. And this is the Mad Max plane. Does the Doof Warrior live there as well? I love that guy. When a non-token creature enters a battlefield under your control, non-token, okay, so you can't just slap a load of things. It's not one of those things that's just going to pump everything up like Dollmaker's Factory does. That creature gets +4/+2 and trample and haste. Okay, so non-token creature gets a bit bigger and gains haste. Still not excited for 14 mana. When this card is destroyed, return this card from your graveyard to play under your control. Then this card gains finality. Now that should be a mechanic. That whole last paragraph, that should be in a mechanic. They should print it on lots of stuff. They should print it all over Colours of Magic cards. We've talked, haven't we, about how the problem with Colours of Magic, maybe I've never said it on the stream, I wrote a post on the forums about it, about Colours of Magic. Problem with Colours of Magic is that control cards are too good. It's hard to build up presence on the board. This kind of mechanic where when this card dies, put it back again once. Yeah? And there have been similar mechanics, haven't there? That we've had Persist and Undying in Paper Magic. They both basically do that. Yeah, make that a mechanic, put it on loads of cards. I don't like this card, but make that a mechanic and put it on loads of cards. This card cannot currently be obtained from card packs, and nobody really cares about that, do they? Gastal Thrill Seeker. Is that a Scorpion Dragon then? Yeah, he's got scorpion claws, and he's got kind of a dragony head. I guess he's a scorpion dragon. Boost 7. My God. Can you imagine how powerful this effect is going to be for Boost 7? To be hidden away behind a paywall of that magnitude, this thing that when it enters the battlefield deals 3 damage to your opponent's planeswalker, then gain 3 life. We don't mind the fact that that's a bit shit, do we? Because we're excited to see what the Boost 7 thing does. At the beginning of combat on your turn, after having attacked 7 times, drumroll please, this creature gains Death Touch and Haste till the beginning of your next turn. They just don't care. Gilded Goda. When it attacks, if it's saddle, create a gold token. Just every card, look at every card, just think to yourself, how can I cut the number of words in this card down drastically? Yeah, make it better, still not make it a problem. Just get rid of all the saddle stuff. When it attacks, create a gold token. Every turn, create a gold token. When any of your creatures attack, create 2 gold tokens. There you go. Still not broken, is it? Make bad cards better. It's really easy to do. Doesn't take any time at all. Glitch Ghost Surveyor. When you exile a card from your hand, draw a card, it may only trigger once. And that's behind Boost 3 again. I mean, I don't think they're going to do. I'm not going to do this joke every single time we get to Boost, but you take my point though, yeah, that Boost things should be really powerful. I've a feeling that no cards in the set are going to do it. I've a feeling we're going to, even the masterpieces and the mythics are not even going to make that boost effect worth it. We shall see. They had spoiled a boost card, haven't they? And it was definitely kind of, you know, kind of god shit tier, maybe even mid, but it was rubbish. We move on. Glory Heath Links. Now, where are all these people from? These look like these are obviously from the same place, aren't they? Right, now that's a Kaladesh one. Does that look Kaladeshi? That doesn't look Kaladeshi to me. We don't know. What have we got? The beginning of combat on your turn. If it's saddled, gain 3 mana. Again, you know, just gain 3 mana. That's still shit, isn't it? Gain 6 mana. How about... That's our baseline now. If you're going to have a card that creates mana every turn, we're going to be playing with Swarmyard. If you make anything else, that's what we're going to compare it to. So why not make all those other cards about as good as Swarmyard? You did it in the last set, Webcore. We had loot, didn't we? We had a little loot, it was a 0/5 creature for 5 mana. I think it was 0/5. And he gained 5 mana every turn. Yeah? Make a bunch of cards like that, and then that gives us interesting choice as players, doesn't it? We can look at all the different cards that are a bit like Swarmyard and go, well, this time I want to play with that version of it, and this time I want to play with that version of it. Yeah? There's a lot of different objectives in the game. You could create a world of variety, but instead what you do is you go, well, here's Swarmyard, and then everything else that does the same kind of thing is going to be 1,000 times worse. What do you think we're going to do? Grease Wrench Goblin. Exhaust, discard a card, draw 2 cards, creature gets +2/+2. Right. Activate 1 green. Grim Bauble. When this support enters the board, target is -2, -2. Okay. Grim Javelineer. Beginning of combat on your turn. Guardian Sunmare. Here we go. Oh, excuse me. It's a big old burp, wasn't it? We got some ward. We got 15 mana 5/5. Sounds a bit small. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if it's saddled, pick one of the first 2 non-spell cards with cost 7 or less from your library. Put that card into play. It has to be saddled though, didn't it? Why? Let's have it not be saddled. Let's think about what it might be like if it's not saddled. One of the first 2 non-spell cards would cost 7 or less. So you'd be picking things. It's not like it would whiff because it's looking for them. It's looking through your deck for them. Yeah. So it would fetch a Swarmyard, wouldn't it? But you've killed it by giving it saddle. You know. And for 15 mana, you know, we're in mana filler giver territory. We'd do that, you know. So you know, you can see why you might play a card like this over a mana filler giver, because it goes into your deck and fetches a specific thing. Yeah, so that's why you might play something like this over a Dragonhawk. You wouldn't just be insane not to play the Dragonhawk. There are reasons for these things. But that card's bad, so we move on. Guidelight Optimizer. Activate 1. The last artifact card in your hand gains 3. I'm going to play with this, or I'm going to play with Swarmyard. I'm going to think really... Answers on a postcard. If you write in, yeah, to my... Let's have a little competition right here and now. Mr. Beast does these all the time, doesn't he? He's always doing competitions. Yeah? You write in whether you would play Guidelight Optimizer or Swarmyard in a deck, yeah, and we'll have a little poll and we'll see, you know, who says that Swarmyard is better and who says that Guidelight Optimizer is better. Here's a Pathmaker. When this support enters the board, your first creature gains Vigilance. Then pick one of the first 4 cards from your library. Fetch that card. Put it into play? No, don't put it into play. Then we don't care. Guidelight Synergist. Where were we? Synergist is the next page. This creature gets +X +0 X the number of artifact cards you control. I very much doubt it. I mean, there's Thopters are. It doesn't count reinforcements. I was just about to say that Thopters are artifacts, aren't they, in Colours of Magic, and you get lots of free colours, Thopters in Colours of Magic, but you don't get them for free. So, no, I don't think anyone's excited about it. No matter how many gold tokens you might be able to sprog into play, I don't think anyone's excited about this card. 16 mana for creating 2 Thopter tokens. Now, there's a bit of a theme in this set. Have you noticed there's a theme of really, really bad cards that create Thopters, yeah? We had a support that put it 1 Thopter token into play. There was something else that made a Thopter. Now we're paying 16 for 2 Thopters now. Let's just make sure they haven't become massive overnight. No, they're still 1/1s. Still 1/1 flyers. Then your opponent loses X life and you gain 2 life. X is the number of artifact cards you control, including their reinforcements this time. Right. I still don't think we care, though. No, I don't think this is going to be good in Colours of Magic, I'm afraid. What I would do, I used to do with my Thopters in Colours of Magic, I used to turn them into, you know, 4/4s and 5/3s. That's the type of spell that I might use that might depend on me having a big stack of Thopters in play, you know. And yes, those cards were dead cards if I didn't have a big stack of Thopters in play. That's the type of thing that I used to Alpha Strike people with. Haunt the Network, rubbish. Haunted Hellride, rubbish. Hazard of the Dunes, rubbish. Hey, it's easy when you do this, isn't it? This is Hazaret Godseeker. So I think it was seeing this card that really made me question whether, you know, the boost thing was going to, the speed emblem was going to come into play at the start of the game, or you had to wait for a card. Because this thing, I mean, seriously, this has got to be one of the worst cards I've seen in forever. Yeah, this creature can't attack or block. Yeah. Now the boost effect, boost 4, with all of this, what we said about boost, is just that it can attack and block now. Yeah? Now, being able to block with a prevent damage creature, that means something in paper. They've obviously taken that from paper. You know, maybe if they'd have put a defensive ability on this card, maybe it wouldn't have been quite so worthless, but they haven't. So all the boost does is just get rid of the attacking and blocking thing and let you attack for 5 damage every turn. And then the actual value you get out of the card is at the beginning of your turn, your creatures with base power 2 or less gain unblockable. That's it. That's the whole card. I mean, we're not quite in defang territory with this one, but that really sucks, doesn't it? What an awful, awful card. I mean, it's so much worse than Hazard of the Dunes and Haunted. All right, maybe not worse than Haunted Hellride. Okay, fair enough. Hellish Sideswipe. You may destroy an artifact card you control at random. They're a bit fond of that as well, aren't they? They're a bit fond of you blowing up your own artifacts in this set. I think they should really think about whether you want to do that. And I know this is at random, isn't it? I'm torn, actually. I'm torn now. Because they could make that effect better, couldn't they, by saying you may destroy a simple artifact token you control at random. Do you know what I mean? Because the way that's worded, it really sounds like it might pick my Chimmel out of a field of gold tokens, which I wouldn't like. But since I'm never going to be playing with this card, it is never going to blow my Chimmel up. So I can destroy an artifact card. If I do draw a card and destroy a creature, I can't destroy an opposing vehicle support. Black's supposed to be the colour that's good at destroying creatures, right? Compare and contrast this to the one with the card we had earlier in white that for 5 mana destroys a creature or artifact. White's not supposed to be good at either of those things. Black's supposed to be able to destroy creatures. Red's supposed to be the colour that destroys artifacts. Those are supposed to be secondary things in white. And yet white gets to do that for 5 mana and this has to cost 14. Webcore, are good at designing cards. When the support enters the board, create a zombie token. Right, just the one. Boost 5. Oh dear me. Boost 5. At the end of your turn, pick one of the first 2 cards from your library, fetch that card and destroy the other. That card gains half its mana. So this is, you know, they at least tried a bit with this card, didn't they? You know? Maybe they were trying to do 2 different things on this card. Maybe on the one hand, they were trying to put a more powerful effect on the boost effect, yeah? So they didn't just put that creature gains death touch like they did on the other one. So we're getting a card and we're putting mana into it. And then maybe they got it cross purposes and they were trying to, you know, to slow down the mana creep. So they thought, well, do you know what we'll do? We'll start writing half mana on cards, like those sensible card designers Octagon used to do. And not full mana on cards like we do, because we're fucking stupid. Anyway, not enough. Certainly not enough for boost 5. We move on. Howler's Heavy. Right. What type of creature is that? It looks familiar. Is it a Vogon? I don't know. It looks like it might be a real thing. I can't quite tell, to be perfectly honest. It's a pirate, whatever it is. Anyway, what it does is, you know, it's a seal. Right, that's what it is. It's an elephant seal, isn't it? I thought I'd seen something like that. Those things really exist, don't they? When you cycle this card, target creature gets -3, -0 until end of turn. Ooh. Howl Squad Heavy. This is boost 7. It's rare, but don't get your hopes up. You know what they're doing with boost. At the beginning of combat, create a goblin token. Then your goblin tokens gain haste. So just one goblin token. Right? Your goblin creatures gain haste. So he has got haste. Okay, so he might build up to boost 7 reasonably quickly then. Yeah? Because you're going to play him. That's going to give you speed. And you're going to get a goblin. Then they're both going to attack. That's going to be +2 speed. You're only going to have to attack for 4 turns before your boost 7 is active. Still sounds a bit slow, doesn't it? Still sound, even though he's got all that much going for him, turning the boost on, you know, building up your speed far quicker than other cards, still sounds too slow, doesn't it? At the end of your turn, gain X mana. X is the number of goblin cards you control, including their reinforcements up to 10. Yeah, I don't care. I'm playing loot. Yeah, mana filler givers exist. You made these cards, Webcore. If you make some cards that put full mana in cards and other cards that don't put full mana in cards, we don't fucking care about them. Hull Drifter. Pun here. Little pun on Mull Drifter. Mull Drifter, a very famous card in Paper Magic. It's got Evoke. Mull Drifter, do you know what? Mull Drifter might have even made it all the way into Vintage. I honestly don't know because I didn't play Vintage a whole lot. But I'm pretty sure that Mull Drifter made it as far as Legacy in Paper. So, anyway, just a little background there. This is not a creature, though. This is an artifact vehicle. When this support enters the board, draw 2 cards. For 12 mana, we've got, what's it called? Artificer's Epiphany. Draw 2 cards for 2 mana. So 12 mana, obviously way too expensive for that effect. And they know that. Intimidation tactics. Your opponent discards a card. Right. You can make that so much more powerful. We are going to be coming up to, somebody drew this, it might have been Madran who drew my attention to this. We're going to be coming up to an infinite obliteration or thereabouts later on in the set. You know, infinite obliteration exists and is a thing and people play it. People do actually play infinite obliteration. It's not a terrible card. I don't think it's anywhere near the top tier, but it's not a bad card. So don't make cards like this that just make you discard 1 card. I mean, you might find that this, you know, because they've programmed it in a way that is counter to the way that they've said they're going to make discarding, this card might make you discard the first card in your hand, but you know, whatevs. What have we got? Exhaust. Discard a card and draw a card, then this creature gets +1/+1. See, they've got two different abilities that they really could pump the power level up on, just on the ability alone. Exhaust, they could put quite powerful things on there, and Boost, they could put very powerful things on there. They're just not doing it, are they? Ketramo's A New Dawn, you know, he was spoiled, wasn't he? They ruined this one with a loyalty clause here, didn't they? When you exile a card from your hand, if there are 7 or less loyalty gems on the board, you draw a card and lose 1 life. This effect can trigger up to 3 times per turn. Given that it can only trigger 3 times a turn, honestly, I think they could have just dropped the loyalty clause. You know, I mean, if it didn't have either clause and you could just sculpt your hand, that would be a dangerous card. Yeah. If you could just exile a card and immediately draw a new card to replace it, and you could just completely sculpt your hand to be the perfect hand to go off for whatever combo you've got, that would be quite a dangerous card. But, you know, triggering 3 times is a big limitation, and that would have been enough. And they had to do the loyalty thing, which just makes it completely unreliable. So it looks kind of mid-shit tier to me. A high mid-shit tier, but, you know, shit tier. Kick off celebration. Oh, this is the terrible picture of Chandra that we all have to look at now whenever the menu system is going from one screen to another screen. Somebody said that it looks like an action figure. You know, when you get like a Star Wars action figure or like a G.I. Joe or something, and you get the bottom half of it and you swivel it all the way around so its arse is at the front. Somebody said it looked like that. I don't know, maybe it does. When this support enters the board, draw a card, discard a card and draw 2 cards for 6 mana. That's too expensive for 6 mana, isn't it? And then boost 5. On the beginning of combat on your turn, you may destroy this card if you do. Your creatures gain haste. You really have to wonder if ChatGPT is designing these cards, don't you? Would a human think this is the kind of ability that goes on boost 5? You really got to wonder if ChatGPT is designing some of these guys. I'm not saying it's designing all of them. When you get to something like Duretti, for example, who does look like Willow, Sarah. When you get something like Duretti, yeah, I think they've sat down and actually made it. The bright glass Gearhulk, I think they probably actually made that. They wanted to make sure it was okay so they could charge $80 for it. But I'm really starting to wonder with some of these cheap cards whether they didn't think to themselves this time that, you know, Kevin the Intern, it's nice having Kevin the Intern around, but, you know, we could save the money that we use for heating his office if we just boot him out the door and get ChatGPT to do his job. Langerin, Soul of Alacria, Saddle. Has there been a single good saddle card in the set? What saddle cards have we ever had that have been good? The Newt was okay, wasn't it? It wasn't great. It was okay. I mean, that was kind of a mana filler giver, wasn't it? Was it Alchemist's Newt? Or maybe Newt Rider? I can't remember. But it had Saddle, and as I recall, it would put a card in your hand and give it half its mana. And if it was saddled, it would like put a card in your hand and give it all its mana. It was like okay, it was like one of the earlier mana filler givers, but I think already at the time there were better mana filler givers around. I've not seen a good mount card in this set though, and this, beginning of combat in your turn is saddle, get +1/+1, is no exception. Lifecraft Engine. I mean, a Lifecraft Engine really ought to give something lifelink, shouldn't it? It's a big beetle. It's like a big elephant riding a beetle. Am I wrong? That's what it looks like to me. Crew 2. At the beginning of your turn, your first creature gets +3/+3. At the end of your turn, vehicle supports you control gain 1 shield. Just staggeringly underwhelming. All creatures? First creature. Not that it makes any difference. Light shield parry, cycling 4. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Right. Again, waste of time. Target creature is -2/-2. Waste of time. Loot the oh, hello. It's a loot, everybody. This is a loot with double strike. This is a loot with double strike and haste. It costs 12. This might be a good card. We haven't seen one of these in a while, have we? Exhaust. So this is all it does, is a one-off effect. Discard your hand and draw 6 cards. Deal 6 damage to target creature, then gain 12 mana. I mean, that's not enough for a one-time effect, is it? They were kind of trying there. The problem is probably that they're thinking that drawing 6 cards is good. Yeah? You're discarding your hand, you're drawing 6 new cards. Now in paper, discarding a hand and drawing a hand of cards is really, really good. In Magic Puzzle Quest, it's basically not, is it? We've had cards like this through the ages, haven't we? They're usually red, and they make you discard a bunch of cards from your hand and draw a bunch of cards. And they're all rubbish. I can't think of a good one we've ever... Can anyone think of a card that every turn makes you discard a load of cards and draw a load of cards? I'm not talking about one-off spells. I'm not talking about things like Days Undoing that work on both players, and Apex of Power that actually casts the first couple of cards that you draw off it. Just talking about something that makes you discard a load of cards and draw a load of cards and then not put mana into them. And that's really the key thing. 12 mana is not enough. That's their concession to making it good. But as a one-off effect, I mean, when you see haste and double strike, you really think, wow, that's going to be relevant, isn't it? You think to yourself, mana filler giver with double strike, maybe it's going to mana filler give twice. I mean, you know, that would be too good. But, yeah, sorry, Loot's not good enough, is he? You know? Not a patch on the other Loot. Lotus Guard Disciple. When this creature enters the battlefield, lifelink can prevent damage until the beginning of your next turn. Just not until the beginning of your next, just permanently. It's just got lifelink and prevent damage. How about that? How about that? People could combo it. People could play it with an equipment that gives it defensive ability then. We're way beyond the point now where you can't just put prevent damage on a card and just go, there you go, there's a card with prevent damage. People aren't going to complain about that anymore. We have the tools. Then a random vehicle sport, blah, 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 blah. Magmakin Artillerist. Have we seen a good cycling card either? The best cycling card that comes to mind so far was just a 1-for-1 removal with cycling, which is not good enough, is it? When you discard a card, deal 1 damage to your opponent. When you cycle this card, deal 3 damage to your opponent. No, I mean, there's damage cog potential there, but it's shit at 1 damage a pop. And, you know, with the kind of combo decks we've got these days, we don't really care about damage cogs like that anymore, that just could sit in play and just ping your opponent for tiny amounts of damage. So we don't care about that, I'm afraid. Marauding Mako. Lots of sharks in this set, aren't there? Lots of shark pirates, in fact. Presumably they're all from the same. What's he got? That's not a sword, is it? No. Right, I see. Okay, he's got a knuckle duster on. I thought that was like a weird sword that he had. Yeah? With like a reverse knuckle duster, so you could punch people with the hilt of your sword. But no, that's not what it is. He's got a knuckle duster, and then that appears to be some kind of winch line he's got attached to him. Cycling for. When you discard a card, this creature gets +1/+1. This effect can trigger up to 3 times a turn. No, just take that off. That's okay. You can make that as large as possible if you discard endless cards. Nothing dangerous about that, triggering 1,000,000 times a turn. I mean, I guess maybe they're worried about these things now. Maybe they're stupid enough to print a card that says, you know, every time you buff a creature, discard a card. Maybe they just don't trust themselves to make combos. Or maybe ChatGPT is designing the commons. March of the World Ooze. This is in the current Elite pack. And I remember looking through the current Elite pack and thinking there was nothing I wanted in it, which presumably means I don't want this card. When this support enters the board, your creatures get +6/+6 and gain the Ooze type. When your opponent casts a spell or support card, create an elephant token. Yeah, you can't build around that. You can somewhere in shit tier. I don't want to expend the brain power deciding where in shit tier it is. It's in shit tier. We move on. Market Back Walker. How are we doing for time now? It's an hour and a half. We'll keep going for a little bit more. Yeah, we're only on 70 cards. We can go for another half hour or so. I'll see how I can feel my tongue. Been scraping on my teeth a little bit. Maybe we'll split this up into 4 parts actually. I'll keep going for a little bit. We're definitely not going to go past 12. I started at 10 tonight. It's 11:30 now. We're not going to go past 12, but we'll keep going for a little bit. But the speed we're going at, I must be more ranty than usual. I feel like I have been definitely more ranty than usual tonight. So it feels like we're getting through the cards a little bit slower. So we might end up splitting it into 4 parts. We will see. We'll keep going for a bit. When this creature, it's a 1/1, enters the battlefield, gets +X/+X, the number of vehicle supports you control. I don't like, there's lots of this, isn't there? There's lots of, these things get +1 for every vehicle support you control. And, you know, there's no real way to cheat that. It's always going to be a pathetically small amount, you know? Yeah, they're not good at design, are they? All the mechanics, actually the mechanics in this set are some of the better mechanics that Webcore have made, I think. I think Exhaust, in theory, could be a decent mechanic. We haven't really seen anything that's good with it yet. I kind of think that they could have done Boost well, especially if you'd have started with the Speed Emblem. So the actual mechanics in this set are maybe some of the best that Webcore's come up with. That doesn't actually mean they've made any good cards with them. But the themes like this that they do, you know, like you need X vehicles in play, or you must destroy one of your own artifacts. That's another theme we've seen pop up. Or you can create one Thopter. That's another theme we've had pop up. It just smacks of ChatGPT designing all the cards. When you make a match by swap, this creature gets +1/+1. When this creature dies, draw 3 cards. No, that seems the kind of... Are we going to put that high mid-shit tier? Maybe mid-shit tier. I mean, that doesn't deserve to be high shit tier. It's shit tier, definitely. Mid-shit tier, definitely. Probably mid-shit tier. Where did we get to? Marshall's Path Cruiser. At the beginning of your turn, gain 1 mana. How could you not think of Swarmyard? It's so similar to it. It's so similar to it. It just goes in the garbage. Maximum Overdrive. Target creature gets +1/+1. That does not sound like Maximum Overdrive to me. That sounds like Minimum Overdrive to me. That creature gets Death Touch and prevent damage until the beginning of your next turn. Weird, isn't it, how they've remembered to do that on this card, but other cards they've put the flash icon on. Doesn't make any difference either way. Memory Guardian. I'm getting Portal vibes from that. Yeah? Doesn't Portal have like these big round robot things? I don't know. When an artifact card enters play under your control, if this card is in your hand, reduce the card's cost by X until end of turn. I mean, you could see that being. I mean, again, I'm looking at it as a mechanic generally now. Obviously, the card is shit because there's nothing else going on. X is the number of artifact cards you control. Oh no, much worse. No, let me tell you the card that this card is shit. Let me tell you the card that I was thinking of. The card that I was thinking of says, when an artifact card enters play under your control, if this card is in your hand, reduce this card's cost by the cost of that card. So that's the card that I was thinking of. Yeah, and then you'd make this card cost 11, and then you can play it in Colours of Magic, and then you get to play it for free. Do you see? You get to piggyback it into play for playing something else. You get to break the thing where you can only play 2 cards a turn. Then you make this card good as well. You don't make it just a pointless 3/4. You make it like a 5/6, and you make it draw a card when it comes into play. Do you see? That's the card that I think they should have made. They didn't make that card. Mendicant Core Guidelight. This one was spoiled on the forum, I believe. This is a boost 6 here. When this creature enters the battlefield, it gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, including your reinforcements. Yeah, don't care. Don't care. It's not going to be particularly big. When you can, I'll have a Galter, please. I'm going to pay 6 loyalty and have a Galter, please. That's what I'm doing with my rare card. Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, have you got 3 artifacts in play, and your Mendicant Core Guidelight is a 4/6. That's really interesting. Well done. Boost 6. When you cast an artifact card, if it doesn't have the knowledge emblem, you may drain 6 mana from your hand. I mean, for boost 6, this is so weird, isn't it? Here you go, have Dragonhawk. Here you go, have Luke. But yet, when it comes to boost 6, not only does the card you get, right, not have full mana, but you have to drain 6 mana from your hand as well. Piece of shit. Midnight Mangler. At the beginning of your opponent's turn, your first creature gets... At the beginning of your opponent's turn. Again, there's definitely a place for that mechanic, isn't there, you know? You can't... Oh my... Yeah, that's really good, actually. Yeah, one problem we've perennially always had throughout the history of Magic Puzzle Quest is... blockers are always too small, and if you make them big enough to not be shit, like Metalwork Colossus, then they're too big and they deal too much damage. And this mechanic that they've invented here, that ChatGPT has invented for them here, yeah, would be the way to solve that, wouldn't it? You know, you make a Metalwork Colossus, you know, and it's, you know, it's a nice, it's a 6 mana 6/6 with Defender. But then every time it gets to your opponent's turn, that's when it pumps itself up to being a 20/20. See? I know those numbers are a little funky, aren't they? You know, that might be a little too good at blocking that creature. But yeah, well done. You've created a nice little mechanic there, ChatGPT, and you put it on the wrong card. Migrating Ketrodon. When this creature, that's a 14 mana 6/6 with reach, enters the battlefield, you gain 8 life. Nope. Mimeoplast. He's got a T-Rex. They have a T-Rex. Does this one have a T-Rex? This one doesn't have a T-Rex. This one appears to be eating all of the dinosaurs. Is that what they're trying to tell us, that it wasn't an asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, it was a big slime monster? Because I'm here for that. Yeah, I can feel that sharp edge on my tooth starting to bother my tongue. I might even if I'm very lucky and canny with a dentist, I might even be able to persuade them to to take it out this year. It's a long, ongoing debate I've been having with a dentist about this tooth at the back. But I reckon we're definitely approaching, because they hate taking teeth out, dentists. You'd think they wouldn't, but they do hate taking teeth out. It's because we don't pay them in this country, that's why. Because we get it on the NHS. I reckon I might be able to get that one removed this year. I'm 50, I don't need teeth. What do I need teeth for? There was a thing on QI! This is the last card we're doing, by the way. If you're bored, you can just read this card and go. But I've got to tell you, there was a thing on QI, and they were saying that something that people used to do in the olden days, I think it was the Victorian days, it may have been a little earlier than that, it may have been the Edwardian days, but people would just have all their teeth taken out. They were talking about a couple that had all their teeth taken out as wedding presents at the age of about 20, because like your teeth were going to all fall out anyway in your life, because life was miserable in the 1800s or 1900s, whatever it was. So people would just go to the dentist as young people and go, they're all going to go anyway, just take them out now, please. And it must have been quite painful then to have all your teeth out, mustn't it? I bet they didn't have great anaesthetics in the 1800s. And they were talking about a couple who had this done as a wedding present, at the age of about 20-something. All their teeth just removed, false teeth put in. There you go, live your life with false teeth now. Shall we actually have a look at this card? I'm sorry, I've completely gone off on one there. Mimeoplasm Revered one. This is a 22 mana 1/1, but it is an ooze, so you get the feeling it should be able to get a lot bigger than that. When this creature enters the battlefield, yeah, here we go. Exile up to the first 4 creatures from your graveyard. Okay, well, graveyard is kind of a shame. I mean, I really don't think even Grist is going to care about this. Grist is the graveyard player, isn't it? I don't think even Grist is going to care about this. I haven't read all the text, but you feel like Grist is probably just going to go for a Gelter. Exile up to the first 4 creature cards in your graveyard. This creature gets +X/+X. X is 3 times the amount of cards that are exiled. Hands up anyone who was expecting this to say this creature gets +X/+X, where X is the combined power of all those cards. That's what I was thinking. For 22 mana? No. So if you exile 3 creature cards, oh no, 4 creatures. Okay, so it can exile up to 4 creatures. So you play this for 22 mana. Admittedly, you don't have to play it. You could cheat it into play with all manner of things these days. So we get rid of 4 creatures from the graveyard. That's quite a lot. You know? Grist would spend some time putting 4 creatures into a graveyard. Well, I mean, no she wouldn't, because you can play with Gather the Pack, but, you know. 4 creatures, exile, you get +12/+12. Is that worth it when you could just play with a Galter? I know we probably shouldn't compare everything to Galter, but why not? if all this is going to do is be fat, is be a big fat thing, I think we should absolutely compare it to Galter. Activate 3. That's not a lot. We kind of like activate. If you have to do activate, we prefer at least activate 5. Activate 3 can be difficult to do. Yeah? Activate 7 was on Scheming Fence. Oh, I missed Scheming Fence. Can you imagine Scheming Fence in this standard format? It'd be nothing, would it? Scheming Fence. I used to quite enjoy playing Scheming Fence in the last standard. Activate 7 that was okay. Activate 10 on Demolition Field. Activate 3. No, that makes us sad. Create a copy of target non-token creature you control into the battlefield. Oh, I mean, that's more powerful than I was expecting from an activate ability. A copy of target non-token creature you control for an activate. So, I mean, that is... Well, I was going to say that was kind of like Golos, but no, it's not at all like Golos, is it? Because what Golos does is pull a creature from your library and put it into play. And this only copies a thing that you already have in play. I don't see it myself. High shit tier, but I just feel like anything that you might use this card for, there's just a much better option. I don't think anybody's going to play with this thing. I might be wrong. This might be another Millennium Calendar or another Leyline Axe, and people just like playing with a big dinosaur killing ooze. And why wouldn't you want to play with a big dinosaur killing ooze? Yeah, I really feel like whatever you want to do with this, whether it's have a big thing, yeah, or have copies of creatures in play, because I believe Felix 5, if you want an ooze that copies things in play, Felix 5 Boots, he doesn't half copy things in play, does he? He doesn't have to wait for Activate 3 either. So, yeah, I think Mimeoplasm basically sucks. Right, I think we will call it a night there, because I think we'll try and split the rest of it. Since we're obviously not getting through 121 cards in 2 hours at the moment, we'll probably try and split it into 2 parts. So part 3 will be at the weekend. I do not know yet whether it will be Friday or Saturday. I will take the temperature of the Discord and the chat and see what's best for anybody. Because it's always nice to have, you know, just 1 or 2 people live. Just one of the 5 people who are my entire audience, according to Main Loop. Hiya, Main Loop. Yeah, one of the only 5 people who bother to fucking watch my videos, because I'm a fucking sad loser all alone in my fucking bedroom, talking to nobody on the internet, like an angry fucking incel. But I'm not bitter, you understand? It's always nice to have some of those people around. So, part 3, Saturday or Sunday. And then I'm guessing there'll be a part 4, which will probably be into next week. But thank you for coming with us. We didn't find anything problematic today, did we? I mean, you know, we've... part 1 was a depressing one with Bloodghast and Gear Hulk. Was there anything even any good today? I don't think there was there? Maybe it'll occur to me. I'll get back to you when we start part 3 about whether there was anything good in part 2. But thanks for being here, and I shall bid you all good night. Where's the thing? There's the thing.